Right, here we are back again, showing you the way I put a stihl ts350 crankcase, crank bearings, all the other bits and pieces back together. A couple of pieces of wood, get a crankcase, here it is. Make sure you clean all the mating surfaces down so nice and clean. Get it on there, so it's nice and comfortable. And then what we're going to do first off is we're going to put a fuel filter in. There you go, fuel filter. Get that in there, new fuel filter. And there we go. And then spin it over because we're going to have to put the locating pins in, which are these. So one goes in, that one there, just there. Get a punch and a hammer. See me, I like them just protruding just a little bit, just so it gives something for the gasket just to hold on to. I don't like to drive them all the way through because you have a problem then trying to fit the other side of the casing. So I just like to do that, just a little bit. Let's get the other one in. It's going to be a little bit harder. It's that one there. Excuse me. Nearly there. A little bit more. Go, just enough, just a few mil, just protruding over the top of it. Alright, so we've got them in, we've got the fuel filter in. Oh, we don't need that. Next off, let's clean these cases up a little bit. Bit of carb cleaner, acetone, whatever you want, and a bit of tissue. Make sure there's no crap on any of this. All that off. Do the same with the other one. Make sure they're nice and clean, which they are. And this is the fun part. Right, so what we've got. I've got one of these infrared, well it's an amp clamp actually, but it's got an IR thermometer on it as well, so I can take temperature of the casings. So it's cold at the moment, the casing is about 12 degrees. So we want to get that up to about 150, 200. So the bearings will just drop in. So you've got two methods. You can use a butane gas, it's a bit cold at the moment, so it's not really going too well, or you can use the MAP gas. Today I'm going to use MAP gas because it's a bit cold and butane doesn't like the cold very much. So let's put some gloves on and let's start heating these cases up. Move your drill out of the way. I actually prefer using the butane because it's less aggressive. If you look at that, it's far less aggressive. It doesn't get quite as hot, but me personally, I prefer this. I find that gap just a little bit too ferocious, if I'm honest with you. Yeah, it heats it up quicker, but still personal preference anyway. Each to their own. Anyway, we need to get where these bearings will sit all in there, nice and warm. The other way of doing it, obviously, is putting it in the oven, heating the cases up like that, but you've got to take it all this off. I've got to wait half hour. Let's put the infrared on that, see what we're putting in there. 102 at the moment, so we're still a bit cold. Where are we at then? On 60. Still not hot enough for it. We're getting that one on. So we got that one a bit warmer. Turn that one off. Get the other case done as well. Because when we do this, we've got to do them both at the same time. check that. 90, 97, 102, 111. Alright, we'll leave that on this radiator just down here, just so it keeps warm. Yeah, that's not that hot actually. So what we're going to have to do is get this ready to go and get the bearings. And I'll have to run off, get the bearings, and then run back. To get a bit more heat in this. Right, now bear with me, I'm just going to have to run down and get the bearings, they're in the freezer. Okay, I do apologise. I'm back, I just had to run and get the bearings in the freezer in the house. So, quickly blast a little bit more heat on this. Hopefully, if this is right, they should just drop it straight in there. There you go, there's one bearing. See how quickly and easily that went in there? Right, let's get the other one done. Put that down on the floor, get a bit of heat on this. Next bearing, be very quick with this. Next bearing in. There you go, no beating on any bearing. It's been lovely. Now just let all that cool down and then we'll get the crank in place. So we have two bearings with a bit of heat and the freezer method. That's in there nicely. They spin lovely. Right, so we've got that in there. I always like to add a little bit of two-stroke oil, to be honest with you, just to the bearings. Just a drop will do in there. Put that all in there. Still helps. Tomato sauce bottle, if anybody wants to know. Right. So then the next step is going to be the crank. Again, we've got to be super quick with that as well, because that's in the freezer at the moment. So this is the flywheel side, so make sure you remember that. Put that into there like so, that in there. That's lovely. So right, we shall go off and get the crank and get that fitted. here we go, we've got the crank freezing cold, so that's the clutch side. So hopefully with the heat from the crank and the bearings, this should just slide in there like so. That's lovely. Next we shall take that nut off. We need here's the crankcase gasket for anyone, part number 110802905000. Sure we don't break this at all. Right, those locator pins I was telling you about, they just help out nicely with it just locating there on there like so. Couple of choices. You can put a spot super glue on it, some people do that. I have done, bit of grease, or you can use this Durco stuff also on the gasket. Today I'm not going to bother. So now, put my glove on. I've got to be quick with all of this. That cranks in, put my other glove on, and then hopefully there we are, not quite in, but then what we do is these bolts, the long ones, remember I said 1, 2, 3 and 4. There we go, and we've got the smaller ones, one there, one there, one there, one there, and one there. Okay, then I use my impact, make sure everything's all lined up, the gasket's all there, yep, a bit there, bit there, bit there, bit there, there, and just gently do all of them. And then what I prefer to do is once I've got it down, see, a bit more. And there we have it, it's pretty much pulled tight now. My head's probably in the way. Right, that's everything in. Now, where is it? I like to get my torques and then just do it up manually then. There you go, that's that one. That's that one. That's that one. That's that one. That's that one done. That's that one done tight. That one. That one's done now. Right. So they're all tight. There we go. Crank's back in. Bearings are all in. Everything's all done. Just do with leaving that just to cool down for a few minutes. Let it all settle into place. Then what I like to do is once this is all in, because obviously there's a bit of stress on the bearings from doing that, is just take the pre-stress out of it by just tapping it, copper hammer, tap that side, tap that, and there you go. Lovely jubbly. It moves lovely and smooth. That's how it's supposed to move. Smooth, shouldn't be stiff or anything like that, just nice and smooth. Should glide. And if you look down there, you can see that both spaces are pretty much the same. If you want to get really finicky, you could put a feeler gauge down there, but we're not going to do that. But that is nice and smooth. That's lovely. Right, so now we've just got to put the locator pins in. So again, get our blocks on here. There's one. Get the punch. Where have I put that? Where have I put that? There it is. And we'll just knock these into place. There's one in. Let's get the other one down by the fuel tank in. There we go. There we go. Locator pins in. Leave this for 10 minutes, just let it all settle in. But look at that, it's smooth as what it should be. That's how you're supposed to have it. And if you do it right, that's how it should be. It shouldn't be tight. Some people have it where it's really tight and it's stiff and it doesn't move, but that should just glide comfortably like that. So, little thing, top of the gasket, a nice knife, and then just take that away. It. There we go. There's that little bit there. Do the same in the front. There we go. That's that. There we go. That's that. So now we've got the crank in, crank bearings, crank seals. Well, we've got to do the crank seals. We'll show that next. Right. So I'm pleased with that. That's how it's supposed to be. While we're here, get a little bit more of the two-stroke oil. So now I'm to put a little bit on the bearings. Look at that, silky smooth that is. A little bit more on that side. Yeah, that's lovely, that is lovely, silky and smooth. And there you go, look, there's no movement in those crank bearings at all, like there was before. Alright, so we need to put the crank seals in. So, where are they? Here they are. Couple of crank seals. I always like to put my crank seals in afterwards, after I've put the crank and everything in. Some people put them in first, that's their prerogative, but it's not the way I do it. this is just showing how I do this. Right, so we shall start. Let's get that in there. Put that wedge just there. That's that. Right, for me, I've got a little tub of tricks here from the stihl place. I've got a sleeve which can go over the top of that, so it doesn't catch any of the crank seals. And then I've got a tool for fitting the crank seals. Yeah, some people you can get away with using a socket, but what I always find is that it always seems to catch on the socket up here. So this is a tool, slops straight over the top of it. It's the stihl tool. So basically, get your crank seal, you can put this over it if you want to, put that on there like so, get this tool, put it straight over there. And that drives it home perfectly. No messing, no nothing. There you go, one crank seal in. Turn it over. Same again. That tool fits over there nicely. Again, you can use that tool to put the seal over it. So I'll do that. You can put a bit of grease on there if you want, which I will do. Or oil. Me personally, I want a bit of oil. Bit of 2-stroke oil over there. Then the seal goes over that. So it misses that ridge and doesn't cock it up. Put that back in there. Put the tool on there. Make sure everything's all alright. There you go, flush with that. Again, you can put some Durco around the seals, but that's lovely, just over there perfectly. But when we put the piston cylinder on, what we'll then do is we'll do a pressure and vacuum test of it, make sure it all holds pressure and vacuum. So at the moment, I'll just leave that video like that. So that is putting the case back together, putting the crank bearings in and both the crank seals. And look at that lube, that's smooth. When you put the seals in, it will go a little bit tighter because the seals are gripping the crank, but that's spot on, that is. Right, we'll leave it there. Hope this helps somebody else.